about yesterday. Then let's talk about some stuff. Yesterday, what did we do? We talked about events. The first day we did some button click events, right? We added event listeners, we did it using onClick, etc. Yesterday we used forms and had submit events that we listened for, again using add event listener. First argument to add event listener is the event you're listening for, followed by the function you want to run when that event occurs. Some events, including form submissions, have default actions that browsers will take. If you need to prevent that from taking place so that it only runs your code and does not do the default behavior in addition to it, you need to prevent default. So if you have an event object, you can call event.preventDefault, and that will stop that thing from happening. And we know that if a function is serving as an event handler, the event object will be passed in as an argument, whether we ask for it or not. So if we need to do something with it, like prevent default, we should put that in our argument list. What else can we get off of the event object? The target, right? What's the target? Suppose I have a div, and I say div.addEventListener, and I listen for a mouse enter event. Inside that event handler, what will my target be? The div, right? Doesn't matter that it's a mouse event. We haven't learned about that. Doesn't matter that we haven't had any previous events on divs. Point is, the event target is always the thing on which the event occurred, the thing to which it happened, right? So suppose you've got a form object. You can get the values out of the form controls by saying dot and then whatever you named the thing. So yesterday we had spell name, so we had form.spellName, dot value, that gets you what was typed into the form. We did some DOM manipulation stuff. To get or set the text content of an element, predictably enough, you use text content. To get or set the markup inside an element, inner HTML. The HTML is all caps. And then in your homework, if you went all the way, did your bonus work, you might have used a couple of new DOM methods. We can create new elements from scratch by using inner HTML, right? Or we could create them as JavaScript objects using what? Document.createElement. Syntax is simply one argument, and it is the type of element you want to create, the tag name. So document.createElement li, document.createElement div, document.createElement span, whatever. Document.createElement. Now that will create an element as a JavaScript object, but it will just be floating in space somewhere. It won't actually be on the page yet. To put it on the page, you can append it to something using APPENDChild. So suppose you've made an li from scratch using the command on the previous page, createElement li, and then you have a ul that you've grabbed from the page, and you want to put it in there. So if some element is a list, some other element is the li, you could add it to the list with APPENDChild. You could even do things like change its style using JavaScript. Anybody do that? Anybody set their colors using JavaScript and remember how they actually did it? Yeah, Owen? .style.color. So if you have an element as an object, you can get to its style property, and then you can access any of the CSS properties and set them that way or get them that way. And in CSS, you use dashes to separate words, right? So it would be background dash color. In JavaScript, it's camel cased, so background capital C color. And you can get to any of the CSS properties that way. So we'll do a little of that in class. Other than that, today, we're going to deal with functions a bit. So another part of your homework was your change heading function, which for one thing now has a name that is not accurate, right? We're going to have to fix that. It's way too long also. It's doing way too much stuff. So let's break it into some more functions. So we'll learn a little bit more about functions and how they work and how they can trip us up by doing that. We're going to deal with arrays. Everybody likes arrays. Collections of stuff, right? We're going to deal with JavaScript objects, which you may remember from your favorite Code Wars challenge, the Mirror Object challenge. So we're going to fool with objects, bend them to our will. It'll be a good time. Ready?